Namaskar. Welcome to this Discourse number 18. We have been examining the Vrittis, that is modifications, how they affect the chitta, that is mind. And Patanjali has identified 5 kinds of such vrittis. In the previous discourse number 17, the speaker has explained the first kind, that is pramana. Pramana here stands for right knowledge. And right knowledge, that is valid knowledge, is derived from 3 sources, namely pratyaksha, that is direct perception, anumana, that is inference, drawn from the major premise. The major premise is supported by reason, hetu, and then udaharana, that is example, and then finally nigamana, that is final conclusion. Then the pramana is also derived from agama, that is testimony. So right knowledge is derived from these 3 sources. We are not concerned with the right or wrong of knowledge, but any kind of knowledge, whether it is right or wrong, creates disturbance, creates modification. And that is the primary concern. Now, in this discourse, let us take the remaining kinds of vrittis. The second is Viparyaya, that is wrong knowledge. Wrong knowledge is false conception of a thing whose real form does not correspond to the mistaken conception. That is, we have a thing or an object. We know what it is. We have seen it. We have experienced it. We know its nature, and it is real. But then a false conception of it is created. When that real form does not correspond with the falsely created image of it, then it results in erroneous knowledge. And this Viparyaya is of three kinds. That is, erroneous knowledge results in illusion, delusion, and hallucination. Let's know the difference of these three. In illusion, the object is present, but it is not seen as it is. It's mistaken for something else, which does not really exist again. So that which does not exist is superimposed on that which exists in reality, and this is called illusion. The best example is, and of course this example was given by the great sage Shankara. A rope in semi-darkness is mistaken for a snake. Here, in this example, the rope is a real object, but it is not seen in its reality. Our seeing is distorted by a falsely created image, and it is imposed on that. And what is falsely created image here? The snake. So the snake is superimposed on the rope, and the rope is mistaken for the snake. So this is called illusion. So in illusion, object is present, but it is not seen as it is. It is seen for something else. That something else is imposed upon this object which exists in real sense. So it results in erroneous knowledge. So illusion is a mistaken identity. In delusion, we create false opinions and images about ourselves. We create false opinions and images and impose them on us. And we live in such images, and we see the world through those images. But what comes between the world and us is the image. The image is falsely created by us, and it is imposed on us. And we live in such images, and we see the world through such images. And we think such images are real. When we create such false images of ourselves and impose them on us, it results in delusion. But also it is in erroneous knowledge. In the third type, that is hallucination, we create, we fantasize, we imagine so many falsities, so many forms, distorted forms, we see all these in their apparent existence, but they are not real. So, as long as we are in such hallucinations, we are not grounded to the reality, and therefore it results in erroneous knowledge. So, Viparyaya is of three kinds. It is a wrong knowledge. It arises from illusion, delusion, and hallucination. In Viparyaya, we are not concerned with the definiteness or correctness of the object, but merely with the correspondence between the actual and that which is falsely created. Therefore, Viparyaya stands for wrong knowledge, and this wrong knowledge too creates modification. It's another kind of modification, and it creates disturbance, and it is a part of that pratyaya, that is content of the mind. So we have dealt with the right knowledge, valid knowledge, that is pramana, and wrong knowledge or invalid knowledge, that is viparyaya. Whether knowledge is right or wrong, it creates modification according to Patanjali. Now the third kind of vritti is Vikalpa. Vikalpa is a fanciful thought or something that is created in utter imagination. Both fancy and imagination are not of the two kinds. Only in degree, both of them differ. The fancy has that coloring effect. It gives that coloring effect upon the object. But in imagination, we recreate the object in a different form. So, if fancy is at the lower level, imagination is at the higher level. But both fancy and imagination create modification. So this is called Vikalpa. We have so many fanciful thoughts. We imagine so many things about our future life, about what is to come and happen for us, and so on and so forth. All that is false according to Patanjali, because they too create modification upon the mind. The fourth kind is Nidra. Now Nidra is not to be confused with a mere sleep. what exactly happens during sleep? We dream. So we can correlate the sleep state with the dream state. In the wakeful state, we are completely awake. We see, we experience, our sense organs are completely active, alert. So we are very conscious of not only of our body, but also the environment, the surroundings, the world, the phenomenal world. So we perform so many actions. We undergo series of experiences in the wakeful state. All those experiences get recorded, as we have already noticed, in the subconscious state. But when we go to the sleep, all sense organs come to standstill. In other words, they recede, they withdraw temporarily, because the sense organs which are so active in the wakeful state that they require some kind of rest, so they temporarily withdraw. And this withdrawal of sense organs is what is known as sleep. But in the sleep, mind is not dead. Mind is active in another form, in another sense. In sleep, we may not undergo the experiences, the actual experiences that we do really undergo in the wakeful state. But as I said, all those recognized and recorded experiences in the wakeful state, in the subconscious mind, will become active. Its doors are opened, and all those cluttered experiences get distorted and come in the form of dreams. Some dreams will be very pleasant, and some dreams will be very nightmarish, very shocking and frightening. There is also another state which is beyond this dream state, that is called deep sleep state. In Sanskrit, it is identified as susupti. Now, in deep sleep state, the dreams will not happen. But the brain is temporarily disconnected from the mind. But the mind is there. The brain is temporarily disconnected. The brain does not establish its relationship with the mind. It is temporarily withdrawn. But the mind is there, mind operates. The dreams do not happen. It's like, take for example, a car. when the gear stops, the engine does not stop, but the effect of the motion of the car stops. But the engine is there. The engine is functioning. When the gear is activated, the engine also becomes activated more, and it creates its effect on the motion of the car. So what we see in this example, the gear is stopped, but the engine is not stopped. The effect of the engine upon the motion of the car is temporarily withdrawn. I hope the listeners understand this analogy. In a similar way, in the deep sleep state, the brain is disconnected from the mind, but the mind is there. But the effect of the mind is slowed down. So the dreams do not happen. The subconscious state will not become active as it is in the dream state. So, once you bounce back to a conscious state, then the brain is again connected with the mind, and the mind gets activated. The brain re-establishes its relationship with the mind, and the mind becomes more active, as it is active in the normal wakeful state. So these are the three levels of state of mind: wakeful state, dream state, and deep sleep state. But in all these three states, the mind is present. Only the degree of its activeness differs from one state to another state. In the wakeful state, the mind is very active, and therefore we undergo a series of experiences quickly, and all those experiences are automatically recognized and recorded with so much of rapidity and quickness and speed. But in the dream state, the conscious mind is pushed down and the subconscious mind opens its doors. Therefore, all such recorded experiences come out in distorted forms. That is why dream is defined as the reflection of a day's experiences. But in deep sleep state, the mind's activity is lowered. It's slowed down. The connectivity of the brain with the mind is temporarily withdrawn. Therefore, the activity of the mind is slowed down. But mind is present even in the deep sleep state. The dreams may not take place because the subconscious mind is also pushed down in the deep sleep state. And therefore, in deep sleep state, no dreams takes place. It's called dreamless state. But then once you open your eyes, very quickly the brain establishes its relationship with the mind, and the mind gets activated as when the gear is accelerated in a car, the effect of the engine will be more on the motion of the car, and the car moves accordingly. So, whatever happens in this state, in these two states, that is dream state and deep sleep state, causes modification according to Patanjali. So we have examined pramana, that is right knowledge, viparyaya, wrong knowledge, vikalpa, that is fancy and imagination, and nidra, that is actually the dream state and the deep sleep state. We have one more vritti, that is smritaya, that is memory. We shall examine this memory and how it works upon the mind in our next discourse. Thank you for listening. Namaskar.